Bleach just solved their biggest issue of all time. The wait for the 1,000-year blood war is over. After being whisked away to Disney Plus, rest in peace, Bleach is back and better than ever. No, really. As a person who has read the manga for the previous arcs, I chose the manga as a way to catch up because, as we now know, Bleach is following a novel concept, adapting the source as faithfully as possible. Who knew? This is something I've heard countless people complain about Bleach's anime in the past. The filler ruins the series, makes countless characters like Orihime annoying, stretches out useless arcs, makes them redundant or even boring at times. I've heard it all. So color me shocked as I watched the 1,000-Year Blood War episode 1 and they followed the manga. Of course, there is nuance to that because there is cut content in this episode. We'll go over that. It's not as bad as you think, so stick around for that. But for the most part, let's get into my first impressions of Bleach, the 1,000-Year Blood War, and how this series solves Bleach's biggest issue. First off, the story really just picks up from where the previous arc ended, starting with ominous narration that says a confined Quincy regains his pulse after 900 years, his mind after 90, and his strength after only 9. And then something strange starts to happen. Systematically, the hollows, one after the other, start to disappear, which leads Kurosuchi to say that it can only be the work of them. Immediately. This scene reminds me of Evangelion with a lot of its imagery, which I dig because it's clear that Kubo was inspired by the series, and I think this anime really did a good job of making this place look better than ever before in this new style of art and animation. And really, that can be said for, well, everything. Then we are thrust into the episode with Ryunosuke and Shino. This is their new post, and they are meant to patrol the area. But fun fact, there is cut content here, though not in a way you'd think. There was a whole interaction in the manga between the three people we see, Shino, Ryunosuke, and Kuramadanai, though they repurpose a lot of the dialogue to take place only between just Shino and Ryunosuke, basically just changing the setting in which it happens to be the city at night that we currently see in the anime. I personally like this change because the scene really is meant to just show the dynamic between Ryunosuke and Shino. Ryunosuke is basically just a little bit of a slacker who is scared to be dealing with hollows, while Shino clearly is not, having a strong sense of purpose and responsibility. Especially responsibility to whip Ryunosuke into shape. Their dynamic is actually rather enjoyable in that sense. They balance each other out. Though immediately the two are attacked by hollows, and Shino is captured and dying, and Ryunosuke arrives to try and rescue her, but is also mortally wounded in the process in a rather amazing scene in my opinion. This fittingly is when our heroes return. Orihime, who has received a major buff, Rangiku eat your heart out, my god, heals the two, and so our heroes are reintroduced. Ichigo, Orihime, Uryu, and the Chad himself, Chad, are back, and they decimate the hollows there. And I do want to bring this up here because I think it's important. There is actually a lot more of, we'll put in air quotes, cut content here, but I think we're not going to mention it going forward, as these scenes that are here are clearly in some way going to be added in maybe the next episode or the episodes afterwards. So wouldn't hold your breath for that. I don't think it's important to go over right now. If they do end up skipping it though, I may make a video on it. We'll see. After Ryunosuke and Shino are saved, Ryunosuke wakes up 2 days later. Orihime wants to serve everyone bread. Chad is, well, Chad. Ichigo is there, and Uryu is also himself, and Shino cries upon seeing Ryunosuke awake, but then clotheslines him. And yeah, I get it. This moment of relief, however, wouldn't last long, as they are interrupted by a man named Eburn, who immediately makes an enemy of Ichigo, to which the two take themselves outside, or rather, Ichigo kicks him outside. Ichigo, clearly seeing he is wearing the mask of an Arrancar, uses a quincy of all things? Which, I have a theory on that later as to why that is. So stick around. While this happens, we see Yumichika and Kikaku out investigating a mysterious disappearance when they track down the people that disappeared footsteps. They rather eerily all lead to one spot. Then we cut to Yamamoto, who is interrupted, and his assistant is decapitated, and a mysterious group of people announce that they have arrived to declare war. They also mortally wound Sasakibe, and make it known that in 5 days, a person or thing named Wadenreich will eliminate the Soul Society. This leads to Yamamoto as they try to leave. He slashes at them, ending up in my opinion, a beautifully animated moment as a wall of flame shoots from his sword. Ugh, this anime is so good, you guys. While this is happening, Ichigo continues his fight with a mysterious Ebern who keeps taunting Ichigo, so he makes a stand. This leads to a rather interesting moment where it's pretty much revealed that this Ebern is able to take or stop a Bankai. I mean, this is pretty much confirmed in at least some capacity, as well with Sasakibe warning Yamamoto of, well, something similar to that. Or at least we think. He didn't really get his words out. But as Ebern seems to almost take away Ichigo's Bankai, Ichigo still is able to defeat Ebern using his Getsuga Tensho. Once again, awesome move. Awesome move. This is followed up by our final scene, in which, once again, very eerily, Ebern seems to return to their headquarters, and when he is chastised by a number member, this person's arm is cut off by a man sitting down, who is clearly the leader of this operation, and says that he doesn't like conflict and they know better than to do that in front of him. Then, the episode ends with a fantastic ending, going through the history of the anime's most important and memorable moments, while a very fitting ending song plays. I actually don't know what the song is yet, but it sounds like the same artist known for playing most of Bleach's most popular opening and endings, meaning it's perfect. Overall, the episode is simply exquisite, and I think that this is the most excited I've ever been for Bleach. The anime clearly before didn't seem to do the series any sort of justice, and based off the first episode alone, it seems that as if they are now following along with the manga's current story, cutting out the filler episodes and segments, and even rewriting and recutting certain scenes to make sure that each episode of the anime is perfectly paced and executed for its audience. While yes, the episode clearly had cut content, I think it's clear they're moving in a direction that's similar to the way MAPPA is adapting Attack on Titan's final season, which is to simply reorder events rather than cutting them all together. Though we shall see what they decide to do, as it seems they are adapting this conclusion into a 4-core series that will each have its own split core. So we'll be getting much more Bleach to come, and as well, they're adapting at a pretty good pace. This episode being really just 4 chapters, which for Bleach is perfect, since Bleach's chapters are usually a bit shorter than other manga some of the time. As for some of my theories and stuff like that, the antagonists of this arc already have me super intrigued. My theory is that this organization, whoever they are, is one in which that takes multiple fighting styles and techniques, blending them into this bastardized fighting style using both Quincy and Aaronkar. And now, they want Bankai to complete the trifecta to some degree. This makes a lot of sense to me, but as well, if it is true, is a great choice as a final villain for the Soul Society and friends, as they have a sense of a kind of impending doom or dread surrounding them. But I think as well, we gotta give credit for that to the amazing adaptation this episode had. Clearly, the series has been inspired by Jujutsu Kaisen and Fate Stay Night, because I found the production in this entire episode to really steal the show, from the impressive visuals in the fights to the amazing art seeping out of every corner of this episode, including buffed Orihime. The 1,000-Year Blood War simply is just way better than anything we've ever seen from Bleach, even beating out the movies in some regards. This really is the way Bleach should have always been digested, and I feel that they did a fantastic job with this first episode, and I'm very excited for the future of this franchise. It's clear that they've learned a lot from their mistakes, so let's hope they keep learning and faithfully adapting the story while simultaneously making it even better for anime viewers all around the world. If they do that, then Bleach will not only have solved its biggest issue, but cement itself as one of the best adapted arcs possibly in shonen history. Which I also ask, do you think the 1,000-Year Blood War has the potential for greatness? Let me know in the comments, and thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.